Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Of course, there is still unfinished business, but there are some new discussions coming about and maybe people dropping the ball. I'm going to be doing an analysis and a response today in regards to the Kaden Pressy leaked timeline from that private interview, because there's some very important details which need to be acknowledged over and over again. And whether people are directly referencing it or indirectly, I still feel that there's not enough focus. And maybe more now than ever, there is less focus with everything that's going on within the community. Now, first and foremost, because it's a video idea, I'd like to know your thoughts. You can always go to my channel page on the post tab or community tab, and you'll see a public poll available at some point. And it'll be in regards to, would you want a psychological analysis of the Noah Presgrove case, more so the community? And I'll just share my thoughts as in what's going on. And I can actually base it off this time round from past experience. When I did it the very first time round, it was all under control and just about all the predictions came true, and they still do to this day. But to now have more experience, well, I can just apply it even quicker, more than ever now. The 0.5 second rule I can apply. So if you want to see psychological analysis, breakdown of the community within the Noah Presgrove case, the pros, the cons, more so the cons, and what to expect for the future, and how to get a better outcome in things. So it might benefit you, or maybe in the future, make sure to vote, and I can always do a video about it. But as of today, we've got a bit more of a hands-on one, direct approach with Kaden Pressy. More so, or part of it, to do with the side-by-side rollover. It's been back and forth, and not literally as in the vehicle, but in terms of the discussions online. It rolled over, but so what? Not much of a big deal. Oh, but no, it was a big deal. That was the death of Noah. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. There's more to it. Is there? Is there more to it? I mean, I'd say it's an important moment more now than ever because of what Kaden said when he was describing it, but what actually happened after the rollover, the conditions, how Noah was, even if he was alive or not. Well, I've already talked about that. We've already referenced it from what Kaden had to say. And I know some people could say, well, show the proof, play the footage, the interview. I noted it down roughly word for word. You would have seen previously as a witness to my videos. But I'm not going to play the audio because whilst it has been leaked, supposedly people needed it retracted or making it private. No point causing harm to the case, right? But you know what I do find interesting, and I don't know if to do a separate video on it or not, but maybe I can just drop it in right now if you're listening, make sure you are, is that when it comes to, Criminals Hate Me, that YouTube channel, which some people say is Trav Davidson in disguise, who knows? That was the only channel to have publicly released the leaked interview of Kaden Pressy on YouTube to the public. And supposedly it was retracted, taken down afterwards, which people wanted. But I don't know if people realise the video was privatised, not deleted. You privatise something, well, obviously no one has access to it anymore, but you still got the intent of keeping it up on your channel for whatever reason, and maybe for the future. Furthermore, it just so happens if you go on that channel right now, that video is public once again. Does Alicia Lee know that? Does Kaden Pressy? If there's anyone watching right now, any key people or those lurking in the background, feel free to pass the message on. This is just from an observation, an overt non-participant one, which you can all see yourself and witness if you was to search for it. It's still there publicly, the private leaked interview. Even though it was said it was taken down or taken away, it was privatised, not deleted, and now it's made public. It reminds me of the Dina Rose situation where there's something that's happened, not exactly good, kind of unpopular. Someone's reached out or said, right, you need to go, or you need to delete this, you need to stop. And then claims made, they've been dealt with, they've been removed. Still around. At the time of when I made that point, it reminds me to what's going on right now. But these are the obstacles along the way within the case and the community itself. Apologies if the tripod is a little bit wonky because I used that massive vibrating device yesterday and it's made everything a bit upside down. And if anyone is very confused, I would be too. You can always look back to the video last night for direct reference. But then again, I'm being a naughty boy. Oh yeah, fucking do it harder, boy. No, the reason why I'm wrong about that, I made a mistake. This is like the Noah Presgrove case, in which you say, oh yeah, Sunday night, no, you mean Monday morning. What I should have said was, to be honest, I don't even know what day it is today. Is it Wednesday? Wednesday morning at 0000 in the morning. I made the video actually last night, yesterday, but I made it publicly viewable Wednesday, very early morning. So shout out to those that managed to watch it, because I understand it was very late. You know, there'd be a couple of people that were probably way past the bedtime. I mean, probably nightmares after that, but, you know, it's just because I had to space it out with the important one, right, to do with the case. I'm not saying that this other one wasn't important. It was still equally important, maybe individually to some person. But in terms of holistically, the Noah Presgrove case as a whole, it's got to be done at an appropriate time. So that's why I focused in on that first, and then everything else followed after that. And there was a bit of delays along the way, but it was all done in the end. But besides all that, if you have missed out, whether it be on both videos or just one, if you need a distraction, you need fixing, I don't know, whatever it may be, top right corner of the screen where the I symbol is, just click up there, you'll find the I symbol, you click on it, drop down menu box of the full playlist to, you know, the videos that I do and the loose ones which have been done in recent time. Be sure to catch up then, like with the Noah Presgrove case, so you're aware of what's happening. And to be honest, the video that I did yesterday, it wasn't actually Noah Presgrove. Here we go again. Yeah. Yesterday, it was actually the Kenny Veach case. Just as important, to be honest. The Noah Presgrove video was the day before. It'll make sense when you click on the I symbol top right corner, but either way, very important videos recent time. Kenny Veach video surprised me. I thought I was going to be very rusty, but it was fairly smooth. My memory was okay, and visually on point. That's a positive. I always wondered what would happen if I switched and changed, and maybe with a limited amount of cases at hand, it's not as difficult as it felt at some point. But anyway, welcome to those that are right here, right now in this live premiere. You want to share your thoughts, anything, use the chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And at the end of this video, if you've got any additional thoughts, any questions, your opinions changed, whatever it may be, leave a comment down below under the video. You'll find a pinned message by me at the top, which has additional links if you do want to support this channel. So with that all being said and done, there might be a particular post from Facebook which we can look at first. It's very brief, and then transition on to Reddit, a portion of it, because when I said about a little bit inconsistency, you know, people most are in agreement with Kaden, think he's innocent, all fine and good, timeline, consistent, perfect. But maybe more people now not questioning Kaden Pressy, but like dropping the ball and focus as in the importance of what he has stated in the private interview compared to the public interview. So if I can help redirect focus today on these key areas which have gone a bit grey, it might help. So let's look at Facebook first. Here we are. So first of all, shout out to Laura, I think, because they were the one that reposted my video. It obviously helps with spreading awareness further, because on some pages they may talk about stuff which is key. On, you know, in my area, specifically on YouTube, I might think of alternative stuff. So if things are shared, it bridges that gap. But it was just a comment, kind of interesting, very brief, that's all. Cindy said, there's way more to it. And Laura says, he is speculating. Bill says, a lot more to this story than meets the eye. It's a little bit vague, this. I'm guessing most people are responding and reacting to the theme and topic of the side-by-side rollover, which had the thumbnail with the keyword hurt. At first, it was seen more as a question, a bit of uncertainty, and yet as time's passed on with what we've heard, it seems more like a fact now. or a clear statement. And some people could say, yeah, but you weren't there. Kaden Pressy was. Yeah, but Kaden Pressy didn't see it at the time. He was asleep. But he said he saw the video of it. And that sounds pretty significant, right? And that was only mentioned in the private interview and not the public one. That says a lot. It speaks volume. So when Cindy says there's way more to it and Bill says there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye, is Cindy referring to the side-by-side rollover and Bill is talking about the case as a whole? Because once you start learning about a particular event and it fills in the grey areas and it ticks the boxes, but there's nowhere else to go beyond that, then really the story is complete with that particular scenario, that event. Maybe we can go into it a little bit more afterwards, because if you still say that there's more to it, then could that mean you're undermining Kaden Pressy and what he's stated in his private interview? Or could you use the counterpoint and say, it's not undermining, but it could be interpreted that way by other perspectives, but nevertheless, it's from what Kaden Pressy saw was still limited to what actually happened after that video hit the stop button, what happened after that point. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it. See, I'm trying to highlight the different perspectives, hopefully people pick up on that. But when Laura says he is speculating, is Laura referring to Warlight Ref speculating or Kaden Pressy? Because Kaden Pressy is making a statement from what he witnessed, so it should be seen as somewhat consistent and the truth when so many people have already put Kaden Pressy, to some, arguably, on a pedestal, right? I've tried to be balanced throughout. I have said that Kaden Pressy has been more consistent than other people, but at times there's been some changes with timings or days, and whilst maybe that can be excused, I'm just making simple observations, that is all. Now, if Laura was referring to Warlight Ref speculating, what on exactly? Because I was just basically talking about, how much more important it is. If Noah is injured from the side-by-side, what does that lead to next? But not the actual death in the moment, because there is proof that he was alive. So that's not really speculating. That's like re-quoting a statement made by Kaden from what he witnessed from a form of hard evidence. Now, that starts being, unwinded, untwisted, and I don't know, is it seen as a lack of confidence? Is it seen as, well, yeah, we trust Kaden, but there's more to it, as in he's hiding something or he doesn't know about everything? Depends how you look at it, right? Let's head on over to Reddit and continue this discussion. This was actually 2 days ago by Excellent, and it reads, very unlikely scenario. So this might actually be going beyond the actual side-by-side, but we still make links as we go along, because we need to take in mind and remember what Kaden Pressy has stated in between. And I can remember a portion of it. So you let me know what you think. Let's just read this first. It is a user opinion that needs to be acknowledged. So Excellent says, if this was indeed taken at 3:41 a.m. and Jack found Noah dead at 5 in the morning, they're expecting us to believe this scenario happened in 75 minutes. You might be wondering, what does it mean about if this was taken at 3:41? Well, it just so happens that there was an attachment somewhere right here. I don't know if it's centered the screen. It might be a bit wonky, but basically, this is at 3:41 a.m. Monday morning at Jasmine Milan on the front porchway outside of the house, taking a photo, smiling, not quite making eye contact, but possibly because they're drunk, and lack of eye contact in some of the party footage too, more natural. Significance behind this, the Catalyst Warlight Ref noticed that Jasmine Milan's hair was a bit darker with the strands, how they were a bit more thinned, darker, wet possibly, the shirt wet. Just so happened that Kaden Pressy in his private interview acknowledged that Jasmine Milan was wet from this photo. And not for that to be taken out of context, okay? So I picked up on it early. I made suggestions, I came up with theories and ideas, and it has been reinforced since. That just goes to show that it's all under control. And you can theorize to the cows, the monkeys come on home, and the owls develop their clothing brands saying, I don't give a hoot. But you know what does matter is that it can be reinforced with time through evidence, witness reports, and whatnot. It's about getting ahead of the curve, keeping it somewhat under control, and having a better idea of what to expect next and how to react appropriately. And that's exactly what's happened. It's perfect. Okay? All right. Shut up, Warlike Raf. You're starting to sound like a bit of a narcissist. Sorry. I'm only messing. But no, it is important this. The timing of 3:41. Okay, the timing which people have questioned, is this before or after Noah's death? Well, this seems to be taken after 11 minutes later, after Noah wandered off, never to be seen again. Would that tie in line? Kind of, yeah. But did Jasmine Milan see anything happen though at this time or just before? What made her go outside to take that, well, not a private selfie because it was a public post snap, I believe, at one point. But in the moment, taking a photo of yourself by yourself when most of the party footage includes people hanging out together, side by side, singing, dancing, smiling, and you take it upon yourself for an intimate, private moment to take this to announce that Noah is missing. Why are you stating that online when shouldn't you be telling people at the party or who are physically there? If Jasmine Milan stated that Noah is missing, why didn't she reach out to Noah's family or certain parents, whatever? But then again, in Jasmine Milan's defense, is that she didn't expect what was going to happen next. And that seems to be reinforced with what Kaden Pressy has stated in the private interview, which is consistent with what Jasmine Milan and Sarah Long have stated, which sounds very unlikely, that Noah, as previously, whether that be at the same party, but more so in the past parties, it was common for Noah to wander off and then return back later, especially when he was drinking. Okay? That's quite important now. Whilst we saw it from what Jasmine Milan had to say about that and Sarah Long, people were a bit critical and said, is that true? Or is that a form of backtracking, trying to excuse the situation, damage limitation? But if Kaden Pressy, of all people, who appears to be a good individual, somewhat consistent in the eyes of others, if Kaden Pressy, of all people, can back it up with what Jasmine Milan and Sarah Long has said, isn't that interesting? That it's normal for Noah to wander off and then return back after? And if that was the case again this time round, let's just say at around 3:30, then, the reason for not coming back is maybe because something happened along the way of Noah walking off or returning back to the house, but never made it home. Well, not literally home, but to the house. There's that to take into consideration. So timing is critical, but visually is also important to know the location of this area. If you're on the front porchway, what did you see? Did anything happen? Why is this person smiling? Well, if they didn't see it as anything odd at the time, because it's normal for Noah to walk away and you're drinking alcohol and you're at a party, it is quite normal to take a selfie like this. To say, well, Noah is missing, yeah, missing from the party, missing out on a good time. Get back soon, Noah. We want you back here. But what's the point of posting it on Snapchat, though? Let's just say it's a normal occurrence, this, where Noah walks away. Why do you have to make a deal about it online? Not to sound rude, but who cares in the moment? Or did you do it because you wanted people to know that Noah is missing? Some people could argue in the background this may have been done intentionally as a form of an alibi, to act clueless, lackadaisical, dipsy. Oh, Noah's missing, don't know where he is. Oh well. There's different ways of looking at it. That's not directly coming from me, though, in case you're wondering. I would say, when reflecting back on it, this Snapchat isn't as suspicious if you exclude Kaden Pressy's private timeline, maybe. We may need to use the map before that, to be honest. But, you're at a party, you're having fun, and you might be a bit drunk. Your friend has walked away, but it's normal to happen. 10, 11 minutes later, he's not returned back. Is it normal still, or do you start getting concerned? Because whilst people have said, from Kaden to Jasmine, oh, it's normal for Noah to wander off, but they never mentioned how long for. Oh, he walks away for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 or plus. Because if it was only like a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, under 10 minutes long, well, clearly the time that Jack stated at least at 3:30, and this is 11 minutes later or so, 11 minutes have passed by, still no sign of him. I must go outside to the front porchway, look about, and then take a selfie. Is it quite like that? Or did the worry, the concern not quite kick in yet because the 11-minute mark of Noah not returning back wasn't that big of a deal? Look at it like missing people cases. They say the first 24 hours is critical. But furthermore, it comes down to at what point they went missing. If a person was to go out on an overnight hike or a 2-day hike, something bad could happen to them immediately when out there, getting lost, getting injured, who knows? But the other people back at home aren't going to question or be concerned because they were expecting a delay. They were expecting a couple of days worth of silence. If you was to go out for the night or daytime to meet up with someone, to move about, to hang out, whatever, with whoever, whether it be first time or a regular occurrence, and there's other people around you, and you're like, I'll return back afterwards at a certain time. You know me, it's like usual, maybe a routine. And if you don't fulfill that routine, it'll stand out more. So then people start questioning it. So ultimately, if we knew what time Noah would normally return back from walking away, then we could determine whether this post was suspicious or not. I mean, if it wasn't suspicious and there was no concern and Noah was just still out there somewhere, maybe Jasmine Millan actually took this Snapchat, posting it public or to a friends of friends, group Snapchat, whatever it's called, in hopes that Noah may have had his phone with him, whipped it out, got the message, and it said Noah's missing, and it's kind of like an incentive to come back. You know, we miss you, but not directly. You get what I'm saying? Now, if this was after a certain cut-off point where it becomes a bit strange, then you could say, well, why would Jasmine Millan be posting it then and public if the original intent is, well, there's nothing strange to see here? Well, then it'd be a contradiction and there'll be more questioning needed. Do you see how much can come about just from a single photo? I've looked at this photo before in the past, and yet this is probably the deepest, the cleanest, and the smoothest it's been when looking into it. So, does it tie in line with what Excellent suggest as an opinion? If this Snapchat was at 3:41 and Jack found Noah dead at 5 in the morning, wait, when did 5 a.m. come into the discussion? They're expecting us to believe that this scenario happened in 75 minutes. Why is that hard to believe? You know, some people can die in a matter of seconds. I mean, is Excellent saying, well, actually, there's a bit more context below it, but let me just make one thing fairly clear. From what Kaden Pressy had said, by 5:15, Jack was back at the party house to let everyone know the news, as in what's happened. In Jack's way of saying it in the interview on Partners in True Crime in the background, the pre-recorded one, Jack didn't burst through the door. Jack just calmly walked in, went to Carter, cried, and said what happened. And then Avery, who was supposedly asleep on a chair or so, or sat down, said, "Oh, why are you upset?" And then Jack calmly answered, "What the hell's this turning into?" Very different to how Kaden said it, but who knows. 5:15 in the morning from what Kaden had said when Jack returned to announce the bad news. You could say 5 a.m. is the time when Jack found Noah to then return back to the house, because it will take maybe 10 to 15 minutes to get from the party house to the highway, vice versa, because of distance and whatnot. So maybe that's why Excellent just gave the 5 a.m. timestamp. But once again, things are neglected, aren't they? Because we don't know how truthful all this is. Is it ironclad confidence? Not quite. But if we're still talking about certain forms of uncertainty and questioning certain events, then why are we neglecting the 4 a.m. timestamp when Jack Newton stated, whether it be a fact or just his own statement, to Justin Roy in a text conversation on Facebook that Noah passed away at 4 in the morning? And there's different ways of looking at that, but at times when you know the time of death, it's because you were present to see their last breath. And wherever that was, the highway or outside of the property, there's a chance that Jack was there to see it. To know the time of death would likely mean you were there to witness it. So we should be more so focusing on, well, if it's 4 a.m. in the morning, that's much closer to 3:41 a.m., isn't it? A smaller time window of things happening. Very interesting, but still possible. And furthermore, you'd have to be more so questioning on the 4 a.m. time to the 5:15. That's what, 1 hour, 15 minutes of doing what? If Jack knew when Noah died at 4 in the morning, then why did it take 1 hour, 15 minutes to then announce it to people at the party? No attempts made in between that to contact family members, his family, supposedly. And most definitely no Noah Presgrove family members or parents. No attempt made to contact police either. It's a problem. Now, Jack could say, well, I've been told that from somebody else that it was 4 in the morning. Okay then, passing on the buck to someone else, but that has not happened. Jack never mentioned that from what I've seen or witnessed. All Jack said in the text conversation, and it's not really changed since, is that 4 in the morning Noah passed away. So likely, Jack may have been there to know about it, because how else would he know the time of death when the official report, autopsy report, says unknown time of death? Pretty significant, right? And some people could say, yeah, but it's probably just Jack being Jack, Jack in the box, Jack up the ass, jackass, Jack and Jill went up the hill and went tumbling down after. I don't care, man. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, bumped his ass along the way, but we're still going on, aren't we? And this is where we are right now. So if we're going to question the time difference between 3:41 Snapchat to 5 in the morning or 5:15 when the news got about, let's look at in the middle, piggy in the middle, which is 4 a.m. Right? 4 a.m. to 5:15. I mean, that's quite significant. If it's all in line, follows a certain order, that's what needs to be acknowledged. Anyway, let's move on. Noah walked off with 2 different shoes on and was hit by a stranger on a rural highway in the middle of the night. And that stranger made a decision in a matter of minutes to push Noah to the side of the road. The act of pushing a person to the side, I do understand, because it's like with roadkill animals. Sometimes animals can get clipped, hit, squashed, flattened, whatever on the road. And instead of just keeping them there, depending on the sizes of the animal as well and how flat they are, the flatter, they're probably going to remain as they are. They're probably stuck to the ground. But a bit of a bigger size, like a badger, not the badger, but an animal badger, maybe a deer, a fox, maybe a squirrel, it could be pushed aside just so no one else runs over it. It makes sense. It does make sense. I get that. And maybe that could apply to a person too. But it would still come across as a hit and run, and that's been ruled out by police. But let's just continue reading. To push Noah to the side of the road, was able to miraculously clean up all the blood and debris and take off his white shorts that had no blood or debris on them and throw them in the middle of the road, but put his shoes back on him and even tying the one pair with laces and drive away without being seen by any witness. Well, that wouldn't link with Jack's timeline, but if it did, it wouldn't link, though, with the short situation, because the shorts, the exchange of them and the supposed video footage, the hidden one at the highway, actually occurred when Kaden Pressy left, and that would have been after 5:30, but before 5:43. That's a tiny time frame window, isn't it? Maybe we do a separate video on that. I might repeat it, but it'll be more focused so people don't forget about it. That time difference. This is what I mean. The importance is, first of all, is trying to get a hold of the timestamps, the times, and all of that. And then, if you have them, whether they're 100% true or not, if some are true and others are questionable, then you can check the time difference and the time frame window in between each event and then what occurred afterwards. And try and figure out, was there enough time in that window for things to actually happen? The time of 3:41 to 4 in the morning, or 3:30 when Noah walked away to 4 in the morning when Jack said that's when Noah passed away. That's enough time for Noah to be taken out and killed, as bad as it sounds. It doesn't take that long to kill someone if you do it the right way. And that's not coming from a professional, that's just coming from some kind of common sense. Okay, before anyone starts coming out with all kinds of conspiracies. But, being realistic, when you look at the time frame window of 5, hopefully I said the timestamp correct earlier. If I didn't, apologies. But about the highway at 5:30 a.m. when Kaden was told to leave and the rest of the guys did. But Jack Newton remained at the scene with the 2 truck drivers, whoever they were, names were never really mentioned. And in that time, or beyond, that's when you get a police guy present, a volunteer firefighter present, and more. Doing what they're doing. That's what you need to take a look at with the shorts. Apologies, we probably should be talking about this over on the maps, but it's just like on the spot. I prefer comparing it with the text that's on screen. The scenario above makes no sense. There's still many people who believe that it was happened to Noah, including Jay, even though it's been ruled out. Let's check the comments. New. And whilst I do this, I'm actually going to move just for a second. If you hear any clunks or bangs, because I'm just moving the area where I operate in, because I just felt that I could do it sat down before, but to be honest, I'm turning into a bit of a camel because I've got lumps and bumps and aches on me. Not literally, but I feel like I'm turning into a bit of a camel, and I've got a dry mouth. Let me just adjust it. So, what does this person say in response? I know this isn't in reference to the side-by-side, but we'll still add it in, don't worry. I might even actually slightly adjust the title of this video. Okay? I've always thought nobody could have been sound asleep from 2 in the morning to 3:41. All the various talking voices, music, sounds, noises, I get that. Mikey, Brylan and Kaden and Isaac, unless being very intoxicated or high, should have heard or seen more than what's been made known public thus far. Maybe. If they weren't aware of anything, how drunk or high were they? Keep in mind, shortly afterwards, Caden's version of events became public and only his. Got to take in mind furthermore that more so with Mikey and Brylan, even though I think maybe my post got downvoted quite a lot at the time and people said, my God, that's not a big deal. Well, hold on, homegirl. Gotta focus in for a second because, and I'm not responding to this person on screen in case you wondered, I'm talking about a past event. But likes of Brylan and Mikey who switched places during the early hours of the morning at a time of when Kaden was asleep, but from the time difference of 2:42 when Kaden was woken up by Alicia, the mother, calling him, he noticed they were sleeping in a certain position, Brylan and Mikey. One was on the floor, one was on one of the chairs. And I'm not being specific with the chairs because someone actually typed in capital letters and said, it's not a sofa, it's a recline, it's not a recline, it's a sofa. I don't care. A chair is a chair. You can sit on it, you can sleep on it, you can. Big deal. But anyway, when you compare that 2:42 to 5:15, like what we're talking about here in this discussion, they switched places, meaning they woke up at some point when Kaden was asleep in between it and did whatever. Who knows? So that's got its own little mystery. Will we ever find out? Maybe, maybe not. So Brylan and Mikey were able to somehow wake up during a certain time frame. Did they see or hear anything? And what about earlier on, closer to 2:42 or closer to 3:30? I wonder. But the same could apply to Kaden Pressy, because from that video footage, the timestamp of it isn't that far away from when he was woken up. So we'll do that. I'm going to show you the map analysis once again to reinforce. I don't know if this will help people or not, but it's a key comment vote by Tough Complaint. Oh, Mark. Hang on a minute. Mark Schramm. I could be wrong, but I'm sure this individual has a similar name on YouTube. Oh, Mark. Hey, Mark. I'm sure some people didn't quite see eye to eye with Mark, maybe within the case or on YouTube. I'm not too sure. It's just this name reminds me. But at the end of the day, being realistic, and it applies to YouTube. Anyone watching right now or in the background, if at any point you feel uncomfortable or you don't like or you're not having fun because of the presence of some other human, you have the power, you have the option and the choice at any moment to block the other person, block the problem. I know I can do it too, but then that means silencing them completely, and then that'll have its own issues, as you know. But if you don't like someone, you can block them on YouTube and you can continue on participating in the chat and whatever. You do what you need to do. Just take that in mind. But anyway, Mark here has been downvoted, -3. Ooh, naughty. But what does he say? She's hurt deeply by Noah's not wanting to hook up with her again. That's understandable. Okay, so this is a bit random. She's saying that Jasmine Milan is hurt by Noah not wanting to be with her again. But was Noah ever with Jasmine in the first place? Debatable. Jasmine Milan, after the time of Noah's death onwards, Jasmine got a tattoo to honour Noah and remember him. Okay, friendly, nice. But there was a time in the past where there was video footage of Noah kissing Jasmine, that TikTok video, which the sister Jade edited, and then the mother Renee posted on TikTok publicly. Seemed like a bit of a family activity or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but they were kissing on the lips, eye contact, quite close. Was there any tongues used? I don't know. I wasn't there, but it wasn't just on the cheek, the face. It wasn't on the forehead. It wasn't like friendly like that. It looked like there was more to it, but you never know the way people are. Anyway, it's interesting how Mark got downvoted, but would I say that Jasmine was hurt that Noah didn't want to be with her? Well, if Jasmine Milan was so hurt, then why was Jasmine Milan supposedly okay with assisting Noah and washing him down? Can't been that much of a big problem. And it depends what Mark is getting at here. Is Mark saying that in that Snapchat post it's visible that Jasmine's sad and upset because of this? Well, she looked quite happy. Or are you more so talking about afterwards and that's why Noah died? It's a little bit vague, if I be honest. Western says, it just says he is missing. It doesn't say he just went missing. The language, well, he's missing. It's like, well, yeah, whatever. This happened. Not the first. Probably won't be the last. And then later realising, oh, he's not coming back. And whilst maybe it's like normal emotions and a response, is it normal for Jasmine to document it and, publicise it online in a Snapchat post? Has she done it in the past? It might be normal for Noah to wander off, but is it normal for people to make a Snapchat about it? Because if so, okay, no issues, consistent. Difficult Farmer says all you got to do is look in her eyes. Why post at all? Why mention it? Why talk about it? Okay, so Difficult Farmer is kind of getting at what I'm maybe suggesting. It all depends on the timing and some of her counterpoints. As said, someone can be missing or absent from a good time, and you could send a post out directly to that individual or just publicly online on Facebook and say, having a great time, wish you were here, things like that. It does happen. Jaded, Jack said Noah died at 4 a.m, not 5, in my opinion. Well, it's not in your opinion, you're re-quoting what Jack has said himself. Now, I'm not too sure if Jaded Tourist is a certain person on YouTube who I've come across called Jade. It might be different people. But I do remember a Jade on YouTube saying, Warlight Ref, are you angry at me or upset? And to be honest, I have no clue about that, because the video, what I did at whatever time, wasn't about them. From what I remember, I was talking in general. Anyway, random things happen, as you know. Excellent response, but he told the party house at 5:15, I'm using a time frame we can somewhat prove from timestamps. Right, mainly because Kaden Pressy gave the timestamp, that's why we're using it. But if Jack gives a timestamp, we won't use it because it's not consistent enough. In short, that's what it means. Jaded, in Jack's interview, he said Noah was dead at 4 a.m. Right. If I be honest with you, I don't remember hearing about that in the interview. But I do remember seeing it, and only seeing it, in a text conversation between Justin Roy and Jack. Does anyone else that knows or heard Jack in an interview, a public interview, mention that Noah was dead at 4 a.m? Let's see. The threaded barrel. Jack said he was told Noah's death occurred around 4 a.m. by law enforcement. Well, it wasn't worded like that in that text conversation. Do you have a reference to where it came from? Law enforcement does not give time of death. It's up to the medical examiner on scene to determine, which they never did. Yes. So how come Jack came to his conclusion? Nobody knows. It's unlikely law enforcement gave a time of death directly to Jack. Well, now we've got some comments here which may help me. Let's see. Use your Google account? I don't think so. Jack, hold on. Here we go. Yeah. Rough examiner. Jack never said that LE told him Noah died at 4 a.m. To my knowledge, I said, I only heard it mentioned from Jack himself in that text conversation with Justin Roy. I've not heard it anywhere else. I don't know what people are getting at in some of these posts. But anyway, Ruff says it didn't happen. And that's how he knew the time he died. That's how he knew, because he knows himself individually. But you say that it's a lie, and it came straight from Stevie on the Army Facebook page. Oh, a lie about Jack was told the time by the police. That's the lie, supposedly. Try and butter it up, maybe. Other lies. When everyone wanted to know how did Jack know the time Noah died, unless he was responsible, others have taken what Stevie has said, which were blatant lies, and repeated them. They were facts and verified when they're not. Ellie never told Jack anything about the time of death or Stevie. Ellie even stated afterwards that they did not tell Jack or Stevie the time of death, nor did Jack tell Stevie about how he knew the time of death from the LE. Furthermore, the time of death wasn't even on the autopsy report. Yeah. But Jack himself did give a particular timestamp. Now, how do I get back to the full comments? Get off. Got to adjust it again. I forgot how you do it. Right. What else do we have? Just give me a second. His interview with Partners in True Crime, or the TV interview. And in response, Joe, Jack Newton said 4 a.m. in a text message to Justin Roy. Exactly. Yes. Tried to add it, but keep getting an error. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry about not being able to upload media. Okay. Well, see, this is the detail that gets overlooked as time goes on, in my opinion. I remember seeing this chat. So maybe Excellent forgot as well. See, this is what I mean. Warlight Ref, memory like an elephant, not quite the size of a trunk, but nevertheless, Excellent says, who said that Noah walked off at 3:30? Jack says, yeah. Walked away from the house around 3:30 according to everyone there. Everyone is claiming to be sleeping at 3:30, right? Or am I forgetting a detail in someone's story? I have to refresh my memory on a lot of things in this case. Well, to be fair, at 3:30, if everyone was sleeping, then why was Jasmine Milan awake at 10, 11 minutes later? Unless she woke up or she was already awake. In terms of what Kaden Pressy said in the private interview timeline, is that yes, 2 a.m, that's when Kaden went to sleep. 2:42 a.m, that's when he woke up because of Alicia Lee calling. And then close to 3 a.m, that's when he supposedly went back to sleep. But in the private interview, he actually said it was at 3:20 when he was starting going back to sleep. And by 3:20, he didn't see Noah at the party. He just assumed that Noah was still there. But I still think that there was references made about other people being awake. So there's that. And that is closer to 3:30, right? Even if other statements have been made from Jack saying at 3:30 everyone was asleep. Well, not from what Kaden is getting at, right? By 3:20. It's only a 10-minute time difference. So I just thought I'd add that in right now. Why hasn't anyone asked him about this conversation? Partners in True Crime never asked him about this. I seen he walked off at 3:32, but don't recall where. The time shifts, shifts or swifts, whatever, depending on the source. Screenshot of Jack Newton text in Daily Mail article. The blows from the same Daily Mail article doesn't really make sense, as Jasmine Millan helped Noah Presgrove shower at 3 a.m, supposedly. At 3 a.m? Questionable. The video, Noah Presgrove daring Brian Sweat to slap him, was posted at 1:42 a.m. And that's interesting that at 1:42 a.m, because I do believe that Kaden in the private interview stated it actually happened at 1:30 a.m. So we've already got a bit of a time difference. Anyway, Kaden went to sleep on the living room couch soon after. He didn't remember Presgrove leaving the party, but Jasmine Millan, Avery's best friend, told him a little before 2 a.m. that he walked off. Hold on. What's this in reference to, though? Is this re-quoted from the Daily Mail article? I mean, the font is different, so maybe this is like re-quoted from the Daily Mail. Interesting, because some of it is a bit more consistent with his private interview, which wasn't brought up again in the public Partners in True Crime one. That Kaden said he didn't remember Noah leaving the party, but Jasmine Millan told him a little before 2 a.m. that he walked off. Oh no, hold up, wait a minute. Before 2 a.m? Oh no, that is not consistent with Kaden's private timeline interview. Oh no, I'll have to go back over this very shortly. This is bad. This is more than an hour before Presgrove was previously said to have wandered away. Yes, there is questioning about that. I've done it in my own map analysis and we'll be doing it once again shortly. Oh boy. Jack Newton, text log back down from Facebook. He wasn't beat up. I loved him more than anyone and I want justice for him so bad. He deserves it, but I'm really still thinking it had something to do with a hit and run. What about him being in the shower? So according to everyone that was awake, all of the close friends said that he wrecked my side-by-side I had there around 3 a.m, super dirty and super drunk, so a couple of girls helped him in the shower, and then he got out. He wanted to sleep in one of the girls' beds, Avery's, and she said no, that upset him, and then he walked off. But obviously, in recent time, Jack added on by saying, no, not only did Noah go into Avery's room and want to sleep there, he also went to Logan and did the same, and it didn't work out. Interesting how a few little things are added on. Oh, it kicked me off. You bastard. Right. Let's get back down. That's why I don't always click on view responses, because it ends up doing that. Right. Just want to make sure I'm up to date. Yeah, right. Last comment. Excellent says, mistake. Both shoes were the slip-on kind, but they still put his shoes back on him. I thought the Adidas shoe was a lace-up. It should be a lace-up. I thought so too, but many have said it was not, so I must be wrong. Wait, hold on a minute. If you've got a shoe that is a slip-on, does it have any laces? Because if it doesn't, but maybe the Adidas one does, how come the autopsy report said in both mismatched shoes, the laces, there was grass debris within it? How do you have grass within laces if it's a slip-on shoe with no laces, right? Now, I have shoes which kind of slip on, but they're still laces, right? Do you know, like where you can slip them on and they won't fall off that easily, but you can still tie it? And maybe that may apply to Velcro as well, different styles of shoes. But I'm sure a Hey Dude shoe is like a slipper, where there's no lace, there's no Velcro, there's no ties. And if that really was the case, then why did the autopsy report say that there was grass in the lace when there's no lace? With the Adidas shoe, well, a lace-up one, that would make sense. A small little detail like that, bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, I think what we should be doing is getting back to the map analysis timeline, right? Here we go. Zooming on in, prioritizing the private interview and the times provided here. because some of it is quite important. First of all, the side-by-side situation, you can clearly see stated there, 2:40 a.m. timestamp of the video. Now, you could say, well, maybe it was actually 2:40, not when the side-by-side happened, but 2:40, the time of when Kaden Pressy was shown the video of it happening. No, because Kaden Pressy said he was asleep at that time. 2 minutes later, that's when he woke up. So it's not because of that. Kaden Pressy saw the video at a later point, same day or a different day, who knows? But when watching the video, the mention of 2:40, the only other way of mentioning that would probably mean the timestamp. Just like Jasmine Milan, oh, we know it's 3:41, it can be proven as a fact because it just so happens that Snapchat post gives the timestamp in the bottom corner of the screen or across the screen, wherever. Yeah, maybe some people could still be awkward and say, well, it's Snapchat, you can adjust the times, you can adjust this and that. Oh boy, right. It gets messy, doesn't it? But if we're just using what we can see visually, we can't, in this case, with the side-by-side because we haven't seen the footage. But Kaden Pressy said he saw the video of the rollover. He saw the video of Noah standing up and had a bloodied nose, meaning Noah was alive at 2:40 in the morning at least. As for what happened after that transpired, who knows? Okay, but 2:40 a.m. critical timestamp, which maybe people have neglected. I can't really rotate it around. Let's look at it this way. We'll look at it from different angles. You might pick up on something, you might know something. Not that it's of anyone's interest, but in the past, before June of 2024, there was a trampoline round the back of the house, no longer. That was got rid of. I wonder why. Anyway, the side-by-side. It's more important now than ever because we know the time of when it supposedly happened, the rollover, which kind of goes against what Jack said about 3 in the morning onwards. Nope, it seems to be 2:40, which is much earlier on, at a time of when Kaden was asleep, so he wouldn't have seen or heard it. But if it happened at 2:40 and 2 minutes later, Kaden woke up because of the phone call by Alicia, the mother, and then it took however long, from 3 in the morning to maybe 3:20 to drift back off to sleep. More than like 20 minutes or so to get back to sleep. In those 20 minutes plus of when Kaden was awoken at 2:42, what was Kaden doing? Was he just resting? Was he just looking about for 20 minutes? And in that 20-minute time frame of after the side-by-side rollover and it was tipped back up and Noah walks back in to get a shower, how come Kaden didn't see it? You get what I'm saying? In the Partners in True Crime interview, Kaden said he went to sleep close to 3 in the morning, went back to sleep, basically. Okay, so Kaden could have still missed out on seeing things that transpired after that. But then in the private interview, Kaden said at 3:20, 20 minutes later, if not more, from when he woke up at 2:42 and then when he went back to sleep. He said he didn't see Noah at the house, he just assumed that Noah was there. Now, you'd think Noah would be somewhere at least before 3:30 on property, because he's either outside with the side-by-side or he's inside trying to have a shower. And if that was during that time frame of when Kaden was awake, surely Kaden would have seen something, yet he didn't. So there's conflict there, isn't there, in timing of when one went back to sleep. But in terms of that side-by-side rollover, but there's more to it. Oh, what, the murder of Noah? There's more to it like that. But how it was worded by Kaden in the video footage, Noah was still alive after the rollover, but he had a bloodied nose. Unless when people say there's more to it, in that when it comes to getting down with reality and the possibilities, there we go, that wherever it did happen, on the land, round the back of the houses, who knows, it was after the video footage cut off. That's when something may have happened. But you know what? If we had the footage of the shower, which would have happened after it, it would be in line and it would determine whether Noah was alive or not. Now, Kaden Pressy said he didn't see that video, or no acknowledgement of it, to be honest. But Kaden did say he saw the side-by-side rollover. So if he's aware of that, He's aware of the time of when it happened and that Noah was somewhat injured but still alive. And whilst that video did probably come to a stop and cut out, who knows what happened after that? There's more to it. But is there really, when there's shower footage video, if Kaden saw that as well and Noah was supposedly alive and okay, well then he wasn't dead. So from 2:40 to what time? 3:30, Noah was alive. This is what I mean. People may be undoing indirectly and undermining Kaden Pressy from what he states and what he says he's seen, actual evidence of the rollover. If only he also saw the shower footage and confirmed that Noah was still alive then you can tell in between that time difference he was okay, and there's not more to it. There might be more to the story as a whole, but that particular one event of the rollover, there's not as much to it. It's not as deep as you think, but it's important enough from what we've learned in recent time. That's what I wanted to put across, right? Now, there are a small portion of people that said they saw the video of the shower. One female on Facebook described watching it. So that Noah, wearing his black shorts, I believe, he was like kind of like hunched over a bit and he was like being washed, and you only saw the back of him, not his face. Right, so if he's standing at least by himself, then he must be alive, because if you're dead, you'd be flat on the ground unless you're being propped up, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But we need more consistency, don't we? It would have been good if Kaden saw that shower footage to confirm whether Noah was alive or not, and then it would dispel other stuff. But the conflict, the problem, when kind of like talking about excellence, discussion, and the timing of when Noah wandered off, and the timing of the Snapchat post, where does it come into play in regards to the timing of when Noah walked off earlier, if that's a separate event or the event, because it would conflict with all the other stuff after it, right? So, the Daily Mail article, or at least from what looked like to be reposted from it on the Reddit page discussion, it said just before 2 a.m, that's when Jasmine Millan told Kaden that's when Noah wandered off. Is that the one time or another separate event that happened earlier? Who knows? But to say it happened before 2 a.m. seems inconsistent, because Kaden Pressy stated in the private interview, and he said it, that in between 2 a.m. to 3 a.m, an hour time difference, in between that time period, Noah wandered off. And Jasmine Millan said that to Kaden. So if Jasmine Millan was aware that Noah wandered off in between 2 to 3 in the morning, how long for? Because Noah would have had to have made it back to the party house, right, in order for the side-by-side rollover to occur. And even if it happened after the side-by-side rollover, that would mean after 2:40 a.m. But that is a lot closer to, well, it's not, is it? There's still enough time difference in between that. But then the cutoff point is 3 a.m. that Noah wandered off in between 2 to 3 a.m. Side-by-side can occur within that time frame window, and Noah can be present for that, and then maybe choose to wander off just after or just before. If it's just before 2:40, Noah would have to make it back to the house in order to participate in the side-by-side and be captured on camera, which Kaden Pressy witnessed at a later point. If it happened after the side-by-side, after 2:40, but close to 3 in the morning, as in the cut-off point of when he walked away, well then, where does the 30-minute time frame window go then, in terms of what Jack stated about 3:30 being the time of wandering off? And if he never returned back, though, after 3 or close to 3 in the morning, then how does that impact the bedroom sleeping situation debacle and the shower scenario? Are you saying that after 2:40 but before 3 in the morning that Noah had a quick wash and then tried sleeping and then wandered off? That seems a lot tighter, the time frame, and not as realistic, that. And furthermore, if for some reason Noah was to wander off at 3 in the morning, 30 minutes earlier compared to what Jack stated, and not return back, then why the hell did it take 40 minutes for Jasmine Millan to then make a Snapchat post about it? If it's not a big deal and it's not that serious, Why after 30 minutes do you make a post then? Either way, people are fucked. I've mentioned different outcomes and it's not looking good. But that's what I do. So that's why you got to look at the time differences. And I know it's probably quite a mouthful. And if you didn't quite see it yourself visually, I mean, if we just go back here, original timeline, what Kaden said in Partners in True Crime, kind of summarised. You can pause the video if you want. Not everything is documented as in a timestamp because they weren't always given. 2 in the morning, Kaden sleeps. 2:42, 42 minutes later, wakes up. 3 in the morning, goes back to sleep. 5:15, wakes back up. It's very basic, isn't it? And yet, in terms of this one, it's a lot more filled out. Focusing on 1:30 a.m, not 1:42 as it was stated supposedly in Daily Mail. So that's kind of incorrect unless one's right, the other one's wrong. 2:40 being the supposed rollover. 2 minutes later at 2:42 when Kaden said he was woken up by Alicia Lee. 2 minutes after the rollover and Kaden didn't see or hear anything. It must have been quiet outside, right? No commotion. And then what? 3:20 assumes that Noah is alive inside of the building, of the house, goes back to sleep. So from 2:40 to 3:20, what? Rollover outside, Noah stays outside doing what with who? And then the shower after that point. You'd think as soon as you've rolled over, you got out, check you're okay, oh, you're dirty, you got a bloodied nose, quick, go and have a wash, go see to it, first aid, whatever. And you know, in that case of that happening, Kaden would have been awake to see Noah pass on through into the house and maybe people follow him, such as Jasmine and Carter, who were supposedly escorting him to help wash him down. Kaden would have seen that, but Kaden said he didn't. He didn't see, he didn't hear. So how come he was awake for a prolonged time? It kind of implies that the event of the rollover was dragged out and they remained outside until they came back in and then Kaden was back to sleep again. That's what it comes across as, right? In terms of hearing about Jasmine, Milan and Carter washing Noah, Kaden said he was told that after 6 in the morning onwards on the same day. Fair enough. 5:15 still being the same. 3:41, which has overlapped the 5:15 one. I don't know why it does that. It's a bit dodgy, Google, but you get the idea. So it's a bit problematic, but it's a good thing I've done this so we can always go back to it and compare. So if Noah wandered off between 2 to 3 in the morning, was that the one where he never returned back? Or did he return back? Now, Sarah Long did state that the night before Noah wandered off and people went looking for him and returned him back to the house. Is that true? Who knows? Is that the reference to 2 to 3 in the morning when Jasmine told Kaden about it at a later point, that earlier on that's when Noah walked away but returned back or didn't? Weird. But then 3:30 mentioned by Jack, the original timestamp. Well, it's been contested since. As you know, I've used 3:30 quite a lot with time, but I kept saying, will it ever be contested? Will it ever be counted? Well, guess what? Looks like it finally happened. But it could be recounted by saying, well, yeah, Noah wandered off 2 to 3 in the morning, but he returned back. But then afterwards, after the rollover, after the shower, after the sleeping mishap, then he left for good. But maybe not with true intent. He just walked away again. But that's when it backfired. So realistically, let me be honest with you. Okay? Let's just say, which one is that? Sunday, Monday night. Either way, crossing on over. All are asleep, but Colton Newton, Travis Monson, skinny guy, whoever that is, returns back to the house to take Bear. Kaden witnesses it, but doesn't do anything because he's too drunk to do anything. What was Noah doing at that time? Where was Noah? Still alive and awake? Passed by these guys? Because what I find interesting, if it is true that between 2 to 3 in the morning, Noah wandered off and then returned back to the house, then at 3:30 or close to it, he wandered off again, then that would make more sense behind Jasmine doing a post. instead of it being dragged out and delayed. That would be more weird if it was just a one-time occurrence where Noah wandered off, didn't return back, and then after 30, 40 minutes, that's when Jasmine thought, oh, I'll do a senseless post online. You know what I'm saying? So if there's 2 occasions on the same day or crossover between Sunday night, Monday morning, more so Monday morning, because if Noah wandered off between 2 to 3 in the morning, that's Monday. And if Noah wandered off again at 3:30, that's still Monday. Monday is Monday, spelt with a capital M, man. So that's walking away from the party 2 times. And yet the second time round when he wandered off, it backfired and he may have been killed, murdered. How come it didn't happen the first time round then? If we knew the timing exactly when Colton Newton, Travis Monson and the skinny guy returned back to the house, did they return back to the house at the time of when Noah wandered off and they crossed pathways? It makes you think. Ooh, there we go. We're getting into control of things. That's what was needed. But yeah. What I'm getting at is, if there was an earlier time frame window of opportunity, why was it not taken upon him? If anyone or whoever could be involved in the potential murder of Noah Presgrove, why wasn't it done in between 2 to 3 in the morning when Noah wandered off? Why was it done at 3:30 then when Noah wandered off? Is it because the right people weren't there in the right place at the right time, but for Noah, wrong place, wrong time? At whatever point they crossed pathways with a group or person, that's the time that determined why Noah didn't return back. He may have returned back earlier on Monday, 2 to 3 in the morning, because Noah didn't cross paths with the wrong people. But does it have any link with how Kaden mentioned particular individuals returning back to the house? Right? So, although we may have not gone onwards with what Excellent was saying about the 5:15 one, I think there's a lot more importance earlier on. Now, I've mentioned a lot of important points today, but I don't know if people were able to catch up or follow with it. If you need individual videos, maybe I can always do that bit by bit, like really break it down, like a 5-10 minute video focusing on one event, or just rephrasing what I've mentioned in today's video in a shorter one. Let me know. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting. Be sure to hit the like button and share it so there's more awareness out there. On the sideline, hopefully the Kenny Veach videos do somewhat okay with time, just to spread that awareness on possible theories and ideas escalating in the right direction, who knows. And the same here with this case, because it's just trying to get a grip of the timelines, the timestamps, whether they're 100% true or somewhat true or maybe not that true, and then compare the time differences in between. I know I didn't directly look at them quite the same with Excellent's comment today, but I think I added on a bit, but I just wanted to reserve a bit of the conversation for the main part of this video and for the maps. So I think managed to process it all and it's fine, but there'll probably be still some other areas to look at and some more creative videos. But in the meantime, we'll see what happens next, if there is anything. As said, if you didn't check already, you can go to my channel page, to the community tab or the post section, where I have created a public poll. And basically all that poll is where you can vote whether you want to see a psychological analysis of the community, the state of it, and my predictions, what's come around regarding it all, and what to expect next, and this and that, pros and cons. If you want to know any of that, you want to see a video about it, so it might help you, it might give you one step ahead or multiple, just let me know by voting and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Goodbye and good night for now.